Now I'll be honest, it has crossed my mind not to release this video because things didn't go right. But then I've been thinking, and really that's what my channel's about. Guitar making doesn't always go right, and it's about correcting those problems and learning from your mistakes. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll hope you'll stick with me to the end of this project. Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now in this series I'm building a classical style acoustic guitar, but with a difference. I do hope you'll join me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we got this guitar finished. I've got all the varnish on, I've let it dry for a couple of weeks, I've given it a good buffing, so I'm quite happy with the finish. Now we've just got to put all the bits together. So let's get on. Now the first thing I want to do is glue in this little piece just behind the tail stop, so that will fit into there. It'll also fit snugly into the tail stop, so I'll need to attach the tail stop as well, and I've also got another little bit of fillet of wood that will just go in there. So first things first, I'm going to screw and glue the tail stop. So let's get that done. That's in nice and snug. Okay, let's get some glue in there. Now I need to hold all of this in quite firmly, and to do that I have piece of wood with some pads on the end, and the idea is I'm going to put it on my vise there. The other end I've got one of my bench dogs in, so the guitar isn't going to move, hopefully. What I need to do now is make sure that that's pressing flush on there. I might need to raise the guitar up a bit there. Right. Some pads underneath. Right. Try again. Some more pads, I think, are called for. Right. Well, that seems to be applying pressure in the right places, so I think we're just going to have to leave that to cure. Now I need to put something in the bottom of this bridge to stop it coming through, because basically, if you remember when I made this bridge, actually let's just poke that back through again so to show you. When I made this bridge, the easiest way for me to cut the slot was to cut it all the way through, and so I always intended to fill it. Now I've got some of this hard plastic, and I think this will do the job. I've just shaped it to the right shape, so my intention is to glue that in place there. I have to raise the whole thing up anyway, so I'm going to stick this base underneath that. And to hold the bridge on top of the guitar, I'm going to use these very small magnets from Magman. So these are 5mm diameter, but only 1mm deep magnets. I'm going to embed these in the top of the guitar and put some steel strips on the underside. Oops. of the bridge. So that should hold it in place when the strings aren't applying pressure. Okay, so I just glued that in with some super glue and I've sanded it down so it's all flush with the bottom. Right, I've cut a strip of steel. I just need to file it down to 5mm thick. I've got my 2 strips of metal. I cut them slightly wider than 5mm. I think it's about 7mm, but that's okay. And I've marked where the channels need to be. I now need to make some channels which are 1.5mm deep. I've just used some masking tape and double-sided tape to stick that to a block, which should hold it for me. That's pretty flush now. Might just take a little bit more off, but it's feeling good. Okay, so now I'm going to plop these in with some of this quite thick super glue that I've got. Now I've had a bit of a problem with the back of this guitar. When I put this sort of fillet in, it was standing proud of the back, so I've had to sand it down. And also I need to fill it because there's some gaps in there. Unfortunately, I had to put this in at the end after I'd done the top because I needed to put the bridge on and I couldn't varnish under the bridge. Yeah. Bit of a design flaw from the beginning there. Never mind. All I need to do now is I need to put a bit of filler in the gaps there because there are a few gaps, and I think I'm going to use the Zebrano to do that because it'll give a nice dark edge, and that should finish it off, and then I'll need to just revarnish it. So once again, my colour palette comes in useful. The Zebrano with Gorilla Glue goes nice and dark, and that should give a nice finish. So we don't need too much of that. Okay. Of course, all these little challenges are the fun of guitar building. And look, I do hope you're going to stay with my channel because coming up, I'm going to be making not one, not two, but 3 hollow body guitars for the Jörg's Cups Challenge 2025. And I've also got 2 brand new t-shirts from the store. So I hope you'll stay tuned, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Right, well, I'm back with you after a few days of sanding and re-oiling this end of the guitar. It needs to be polished, but it's looking pretty good. So I think I can go ahead now and start to fit the neck and the bridge. So when it comes to the bridge, I've got the two metal plates glued in there. I'm just debating whether I should drill a hole and put a little tiny screw in each one of those. But I think the super glue is going to hold. Anyway, the top's been oiled again. So I'll just need to make the saddle piece for that. Otherwise, that's ready to go. Now, the neck slots in there nicely, but it's not rigid. But I actually found that if I put a shim in that slot, or two shims either side of the dovetail there, then this neck grips in, and I think that's going to be tight enough with a bit of glue to do the job. So let's get some shims. Now the problem is this: the gap there, the narrow part of the dovetail on the guitar is 19mm, and on the neck here it's actually 17. So I need to build that out by 2mm. So I've measured these two little pieces of wood, and they're both a millimetre thick. So if I glue those in there, then hopefully this should hold the neck in really tight. This is one of those situations where I've only got one go at this. I've got to put the glue on, then I've got to push it down, just hope I can get it right in. And at the moment it's going to take a lot of pressure. If it gets stuck, well, I'm in a mess. Well, I thought it was done, but it wasn't. I've been at it for quite a while now. It's amazing. I get the neck on to a certain level and then it just jams. So what I'm doing is just trimming back some of the wood that I put in. It's easier said than done. We're getting there now. Right, just marked on there the area where we're going to be gluing this. I'm worried it's not going to stick properly with that oil. Okay, the time's come to glue this in. Wish me luck. I've got to try and clamp this, so I think this might do the job. Looks like a good join. It's now just a question of wait and see. Well, you know, ladies and gentlemen, when I try these wacky ideas for designs, something is bound to go wrong. And unfortunately it has, and I need to fix it. And now I've got my new Jurg's Cup t-shirt on, I feel inspired to do the right thing. Let me show you. Now, the conventional way of making an acoustic guitar is to assemble the neck on the guitar, do all the stuff you need to do, and then fit the bridge or the tail stop. Because I have fitted the tail stop before fitting the neck, and unfortunately the two did not line up. The neck is out very slightly, which has meant that I have had to twist this tail stop round just a little bit in order for the strings to line up properly, and I'm not happy with that. It doesn't look right, and I can fix it, but what it means is I need to make a new tail stop, and so that's what I'm going to do. Now, that also causes me another problem in that I attempted this rather posy looking joint here where this fillet goes right up into the tail stop. So that's not going to work in future. So what I'm going to do is cut the top of that fillet flush with the top of the guitar, and then I'm going to have to build a new tail stop that fits into there and covers up any of the woodwork that I've got to mess around with. I've already shot a video making tail stops, so I'm going to switch the camera off and get on with it, and I'll get back to you as soon as I've done it. Right, before I start work on the new tail stop, I've just put a couple of strings on the guitar just to make sure that it is going to make any sort of sound. And it certainly is. I'm getting a bit of a buzz there, but that sounds quite nice. And that's okay. I'm going to have to raise this bridge up because the action is much too low. I expected that, but I need some pressure down on the top anyway. So given that I've got some sound, let's carry on, and I'll get on with that tail stop. Well, you can probably guess from the range of tools that I've got on this bench that I've had fun this afternoon making a new bridge. I actually have gone for Panga Panga because I thought, well, that's what the fretboard's made of. And so that was the second version of the bridge. This is now the third version of the bridge. And I thought I would show you what it's going to look like with a bit of oil on. I do need to do a bit more sanding on it, but quite honestly, I've had enough of that today. So let's have a dab of finishing oil on it. I'm going to have to do a bit of work on the holes because I never get it quite lined up. I did drill the holes, sort of pre-drill the holes for this one before I sort of cut the shape into it, and that's really helped. But there we go, a rough oiling, so it's going to be much darker, but I think it will go with the blue much better, and it should tie in to that little fillet that I've got on the back of the guitar. Of course, you may ask what on earth has happened to the shape of the tail stop. Well, let me explain. In order to get this shape central with the neck, I've got to move it right over here, and well, it looks ridiculous. So I gave up on that idea. But you may remember right at the start of this project, I actually came up with this shape, and I sort of wasn't sure about it, but in actual fact it does the job, because I can offset it like that, and well, it looks okay and it does the job. It's in line with the neck, so that's why I've gone for it. The Panga's got some nice textures in it, so that looks really nice. So I think it's going to go quite nicely. So my takeaway from this episode is always fit the neck first before you fit the tail stop or the bridge, because especially with an acoustic guitar and especially with my skill level, I can't guarantee that I'm going to get that joint, that neck joint, absolutely flush and absolutely square. And yeah, I have to perhaps rethink my approach on that. But anyway, I think I've got a solution, and that's what I'm going to run with. Well, you joined me on a very sunny afternoon, and I've been in the workshop most of the day fixing problems that I've created for myself. And one of the problems came to light last night when I was editing the film that I shot yesterday. And that was a bit where I'd strung up the guitar with a couple of strings and I was playing it. And one thing really stood out like a sore thumb when I saw the video, and that was my bridge. Now, I know I've had trouble with my tail stop, and I've been working on that today to get that right, and I think I'm about there. But this bridge is just too big, it stands out, and it completely distracts from the rest of the guitar. So, talking to my design consultant Carolyn last night, we both felt that actually we need to go for a very simple bridge, because otherwise we're just crowding the whole thing out with too much stuff. And so what I've got is a little block here of the Panga, which has got a nice grain on it. I'm going to cut a slot in this and shape it, and I think that is going to do the job much better than this bloody great boat, which yeah, it was a nice idea, but I don't think it's going to work. Anyway, let's get on with this new bridge. Now, cutting the slot in these bridges is always a problem for me, so I came up with this jig which is designed for cutting more conventional slots in the wood. However, I think I can modify it to cut a slot in this one, and so I'm going to give it a go. I've not tried this. This is the first time I'm having to go with this, so could all go pear-shaped, but let's give it a go. Well, that's about as pear-shaped as it gets, so I think we need a plan B. So I'm afraid my plan B is to attempt to saw it. So I've marked it up. Use my nice saw. Done one. Let's see if I can get the other side parallel. Well, the slot looks reasonable. I'm going to make the saddle to go into it, but yeah, that's going to fit in there, I think. So now I'm going to just shape the ends down. Well guys, I genuinely thought I was going to finish this guitar in this episode, but I'm clearly not going to, and it's gone on a long while, and it's getting a bit late in the day, so I'm going to call it a day for this video. I've worked on a new bridge which is much simpler and doesn't detract from the rest of the guitar, which I think is much better. I like the wood, more panga panga. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for all your comments. And I hope this video hasn't been as painful to watch as it has been to produce. Anyway, look, this is all part of the fun of guitar making. This is an experimental guitar, so do you know what? Anything goes, really. I'm going to go and make something really important now, and that is an apple crumble with some apples straight off the tree. So I will see you next time. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.